Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Awakening Potential podcast, your gateway to the extraordinary. Today, I'm featuring the amazing Marja Simon, who has mastered turning everyday moments into milestones of wisdom and success as a veteran of the U.S. Army, the U.S. Air Force. She holds a Juris Doctor of Law, a Master's of Diplomacy, and an interdisciplinary bachelor's in English, business, and behavioral science. Marja stepped into her courage by creating an Author Writers Academy, a literary agency that captures people's wisdom and transform the hearts and minds of the world. I love that. As a result of that, she's become a best-selling author herself, publishing results. She's a professional speaker, a mindset coach, international attorney, and a prior military. So thank you first and foremost for your service. And welcome. Welcome, welcome. Can you hear me? I think you froze.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I'm back. Yes. Thank you so much for having me, Karen. It's such an honor and a pleasure to be on Awakening Potential. This is one of my absolute favorite subjects. I've spoken on stages around the world for over a decade on a myriad of topics, and there's one continuous theme, no matter the audience, no matter the topic. It's having the courage to live your authentic life.
Absolutely.
And all of that is so much about awakening that potential that we've allowed, either from childhood or from somewhere on our journey, to go dormant.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So who is Marja as Marja the woman? Who are you?
Yeah, so I am, ooh, that is, I am a multi-layered, energetic, spiritual being who is here to cause and be a conduit for ripple effects in the world that where I'm changing lives, where I'm being that space and holding place for other people to change lives. And in Author Writers Academy, when we created this, one of the things is I am a grave robber. I am here and I'm robbing the grave of all of that wisdom, all of those experiences that fall into it every day. And I am a conduit for making sure it goes into the hearts and the hands and the heads of the lives that it's going to actually change. Um, Growing up and as an adult in the hardest times in my life, the wisdom that people had the courage and had the audacity and had the love to share in their books helped me to change my life. It gave me light in the darkest moments. It gave me hope when I felt hopeless. It allowed me to see possibilities where I, in my limited knowledge in that moment, didn't have any expansion. And so I love working with the entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur. I love working with the executives, the doctors, lawyers, CPAs, presidents. I'm an executive. I love working with the entertainers, retired pro athletes, and people on stage and screen, Hollywood, and all of the things. I've acted and modeled and was an athlete, and so I understand what it took for those people to become who they are, to break out of the ordinary, tap into that potential inside of them for something and push it forward and break through the atmosphere. And so I am a lover and an admirer of all of my clients, past, present, and future. Um, I am a mother of two amazing human beings who are doing incredible things and just being incredible in the world. I am a grandmother, although we are not allowed to use that word. They call me Omi. I am an Omi of two amazing boys, ages 5 and 1. And I am, yeah, all of the things and more.
Oh, wow. Well, I get that's amazing. That's amazing. And I don't doubt it's almost as expected that your children are as amazing as you are, and your grandkids will be
Yeah.
as well. I'm so clear that's it. Um, I also get you weren't born with all of that. So what is some of the backstory that, if you would, that got you from where going back, like where you were to who you are, I guess that's better framed,
Yeah.
that really motivated you, inspired you, and elevated that into being the extraordinary person and human being that you are today.
I really owe everything of that first aha, I'd say, to the adult humans in my life. I believe that we learn from everyone around us, both what to do and what not to do when we're open and receptive. And my parents, they didn't have it all figured out from a long stretch. We grew up in poverty and hardship and abuse and all of the things that unfortunately a lot of people experience, and think that we're alone and think that we're the only ones. And it helps when we can see the gifts in everything, no matter what. And from my mother, she was the kindest, gentlest, most loving person who took care of everyone, especially children. And even though we didn't have a lot, it would be any given day, there would be another kid or two from the neighborhood sitting at our kitchen table, and my mother would be feeding them with us. And I asked her, I said, Mom, how are you feeding other children when we barely have enough for us? I saw you struggle. We never went hungry, but she struggled to make sure that happened. And she said, if I can feed 4, I can feed 5 or 6. God will make a way. It'll be okay. And she was such a loving, giving soul. And because of her example, and we were often evicted, for, for my dad not paying the rent, and had to move again every year, every 2 years. And my mom always would scrub the place from top to bottom before we would move and make sure it was sparkling clean. And I'm, Mom, we're being kicked out of here. Why are you spending your time and energy doing that? And she said, you always leave something in a place better than you found it, no matter why you're leaving.
Yeah.
And all of her compassion, her quiet wisdom, her way of always making the world better, of making sure that anyone who came in contact with her was better. I learned that from her.
Yeah.
Her heart, her love, her compassion. My dad, he was, they were both 20 years old when they became parents with me and their oldest. And, as a baby, you think, oh, they're old. But looking back, I'm like, oh my God, they were kids themselves trying to figure it out. And he was sent to the US from Trinidad and Tobago as a young kid trying to, it's like, here, go figure it out, make your way in the world. And he did the best he could with what he knew, with the examples that he had in his life. And for him, he put himself through college, and he always emphasized education for me. Um, he was very rough in his demeanor and his way of communicating. However, my love of knowledge, my love of reading, my creative artistic ability all came from my father. And I could focus on his shortcomings and all of the pain and all of the things, or I could see all of the gifts. And I am so grateful that both of them were my parents. My dad used to insist that I read before I could go outside and play, and I hated him when I was a kid for that. He would select the book, and he'd be like, books this thick. That I'm like, I don't understand most of the words in this, and I hear my friends outside playing, and he'd keep reading, and I'd be reading and stumbling through, and sometimes in tears, and he'd ask me, "What did you just read? What is it?" And by the time I was in middle school, I was reading on a college level,
Mm.
and it sparked, it awakened the potential in me for that love of reading. And who knew I would be reading for a living, writing for a living?
Isn't it always connected? There's somehow, some way, there's something that sparks us and it's connected. I love it. That's why I always ask the question.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
It
Yes,
is.
God is not a God of waste, and every single thing from our past are clues and support and a catalyst for who we are today and tomorrow and our next life and in the future and what we're here to do in the world.
Absolutely. Well, so obviously, as a result of reading, it really inspired the curiosity as a child and also as a young adult. What got you into law?
Well, yeah, I was actually an architect major when I started college, and I was, you too? It was so random.
I know. You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Gotta love it. Yeah, so in high school, I was an artist. I studied art and photography and fashion design and sculpture and all of the creative things and loved it. And I was going to be a fashion designer. I was even going to go to FIT and toured the school. And then I decided to do what a lot of people unfortunately do and decided to be practical.
Yeah, nursing was my practicality.
Yeah, yeah. And I said, well, if I become an architect, that seems respectable and practical and tangible, and I can have a job and an office and it just seemed and so I shifted gears and went into one of the hardest architecture programs in the US. It was a 5-year program. And in year 3, I realized I sucked at architecture.
Oh, thank you.
and and it was hard, and it's hard enough and competitive enough being in architecture. However, there are very, very few minorities, very few women, and very even fewer minority women in architecture, unfortunately, then especially, and even now. And so in that competition, you can't just show up as, yeah, you're very good. I had to be one of the best. And I knew that I wasn't, and I wasn't loving what I was doing. But what I did love was writing my premise, presenting my projects, arguing my projects. And so the writing of it, the creative, I could look at anything and the words and how to describe it and how to make you feel what was happening here and move through the space. I was excellent at that.
Nice.
And I noticed that other architect students were coming to me and asking me to write their premise so that they can present their projects and with that same power. And I was doing this so often, I was like, I need to get paid for this, you know? And and that's also a clue for your potential inside of you. What's easy to you is often difficult to other people, but because it comes easy to us, we discount it and we don't recognize it for the gifts that we're here to bring into the world. And we're like, oh, it's easy. Oh, that's fun for me. Oh, that's nothing. And we miss it. We've misdiagnosed the fact that those are exactly the clues of what we're supposed to be doing and getting paid really well for. We've been fed a um, lie that what we do, our work is supposed to be hard. Our work is supposed to be miserable. Our work is supposed to be make us exhausted. We've been fed this lie, which prevents us from seeing that we get to show up with our gifts, and it's fun and it's flowing and it's easy. And yeah, there's a lot of hard work in it, but it's a different hard work. It's a hard work of flow. It's a hard work of love. It's a hard work of connection. And it feels very different, and it actually fills you up the more you do it.
Mhm.
And so when I was there in architecture school, I took business law as an elective, and it was taught by a sitting judge. And he said, "Why are you an architect major? You're clearly an attorney." And I just went, whatever, it's easy. And I mean, same mindset.
Mhm.
And I dismissed it, couldn't hear him. The next semester, I took business law too. It was taught by a different judge. And it was one of those those classes that were truncated into a short period of time. And so if you missed like one, it was like missing 3 classes. And I had decided late to sign up. And so I missed the first class. So when I showed up for the second class, the professor stood in the doorway and physically wouldn't let me in the class. He said, "You've missed the first class. You're not going to catch up. You're too far behind. You're not taking this class. I'm going to withdraw you." And I said, "I can catch up. It's not a problem." And he said something, and I said something back, and we went back and forth, arguing back and forth, and I was not leaving. And all of a sudden, he just stopped talking and looked at me. He said, "You'll do fine." And he opened the door and he let me in. And of course, it was easy and for me.
Yeah.
And he again said, "Why are you an architect major? You're a lawyer."
Mhm.
And then I heard him, and I was like, the pain of doing this architecture stuff hard, or doing the law stuff easy, in flow and in fun, which path of my life am I going to choose?
There you go.
And I changed my major to interdisciplinary studies with business, English, and behavioral science, graduated the next year, and went to law school. And I practiced for a long time, doing a lot of beautiful different areas of law, both in the Army and in the Air Force and in civilian sectors. And one day I said, "I'm in pain again."
Mhm.
And again, we often accept the lie that we have to live our life hard, that our jobs are supposed to cause us pain and misery, and nobody's happy in their job. And this lie that perpetuates and keeps us from choosing ourselves, from choosing our gifts, from opening up our potential, from stepping into that extraordinary being that we actually are.
Mhm.
And the last job that I had, for 5 of the 7 years that I was working there, I knew I was supposed to walk away. And I was, doing all the personal development work. I've spent 7 figures in my personal development, in courses and trainings and mentors and coaches, and doing the events and showing full up and playing in all sorts of arenas, best coaches in the world. And um, and I think that's what sustained me and helped me through it, because other people would have broken completely without that. I would have broken completely without that. And um, but I was still spiraling down, and I was miserable. And my doctors were like, "This job is going to physically kill you." It was a hostile work environment. I wasn't being appreciated. My gifts were being misused. And finally, I just said, enough. My life is worth more than anything you're going to pay me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I stepped away.
Yeah, that must have been really challenging to do that too, huh?
Yeah, it really was, because I didn't have clarity on what I was going to do next. My husband at the time was not in support of my leaving my quote safe, secure job to do what? um, and um, I had worked so hard building up the identity of attorney, of lawyer, that, I'm like, man, I'm just going to lose decades of my life, of everything I've invested, of everything I've done. I'm just going to walk away from all of that. And so often we're conditioned to realize, okay, my ladder is now against the wrong wall, but I'm going to keep climbing. I'm just going to keep climbing instead of coming down off of it and moving the ladder to a different wall and going where I actually want to go. And when I speak on stages, I speak a lot about the courage to live your authentic life, the courage to step into who you really are. And that takes a lot of courage. It took me 5 years to step into what one of my coaches, Tony Robbins, says is your moment of courage. It happens in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Where you make a decision like that and you take action. It took me 5 years of knowing and going back and forth and spiraling down to say, enough. I'm moving.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Wow. That's definitely quite the story. And I'm so grateful you did, because if you hadn't, I probably never would have met you. And I just so enjoyed your company. Um, so now obviously you have created a publishing company and you've got so many different things all around creating a legacy. And one of the things I get the chills just saying it. One of the one of the things that I really loved about our conversation prior was you live a life now out of fun family, fun. Tell us more about, there are 4 things that
Oh
you,
yes,
I'll let you
it's
tell
my
her.
four F's.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love
I
it.
actually got that from several different coaches of mine. Like I said, I work with the best coaches and mentors in the world. Another one was this one I got from Preston Brown, one of my coaches, and his book that we're publishing is coming out soon. Extraordinary, like all of our authors. And so faith, family, fitness, and finance. And I added a fifth F. I wrap it all in fun. So
Yeah.
faith, family, fitness, and finance, all wrapped in fun. Because like my coach Tony Robbins said, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. So,
I love that. I love that. And as I was doing some of the work, I'm like, God, what an inspiration for me, and if it's an inspiration for me and it's an inspiration for you, it could be inspirational for others. And it really broke it down into looking at different segments of my own life, and I check in regularly, which I was also told by coaches to do, check in regularly and see where it's at. And if it doesn't, I like to call it weed in my garden. If it's not working, weed it, pull it, it's like you're
yes.
putting
Yeah,
seed.
yeah, Jim Rohn, he says, you are not a tree. You don't have to stay where you're planted. You can leave.
Exactly, or pull the weeds and get them out. So yeah, this is great. So now you've created this publishing company. You've got amazing authors, um, and what's next? Just what?
Yeah, so one of my um, uh, biggest loves, I love sharing the wisdom and the words that I receive. And so I have my 2 next books coming out. The next one is called Next Life Next, that I co-created with one of my best friends, JJ Villar. And he and I will be putting out this incredible book. We did a soft launch of it in California a few months ago. And it was just so well received. People are having the impact that we intended. We made some adjustments and now it's ready to go. And that one's about to go live soon.
Nice.
And we're super excited. We wrote that book for, he and I were talking, and we are both amazing coaches. We've invested 7 figures in our personal development, plus my formal education, all of the things that we've done in our life. And we've created our life again and again and again as a result of that, first by default and now by design. And we were talking one day, and we were hanging out at his place, and we're talking about the fact that we've helped thousands of people transform their lives, and neither one of us was able to help our mothers. My mother has since passed on. His mother, unfortunately, is not well, and it broke our hearts that our mothers, with everything that we had access to, still lived in the mindset of poverty and lack and not opening up their potential and stepping in fully and owning the incredible beings that they are.
Yeah.
And we said, what if our mothers had access to all of the knowledge and wisdom and the communities and the ecosystems that we have? How different would their lives have been?
Absolutely.
And so that came into us coming together and writing our book, Next Life Next.
Love it.
And we're sharing in a fun, colorful, playful, just joyous way, the knowledge and the information and the steps so that people like our mothers could have access and apply what we know so that they can, by design, create their next life next.
I so love the context of that. And knowing JJ, he's so playful anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the two of you together, I can just see it now. I'd be laughing on the sidelines going, yeah, yeah, yeah. And inspiring. It's also so ironic for me, never any coincidences. As I'm sitting here today, right, I've been writing and doing something, and part of my dedication has been to my mother and my sister, who I both lost because of their stories that they told themselves, and how it played out in their lives. And like you, I've invested a bucket load within my own personal growth and development and my education and so on and so forth. And I'm really inspired to make it part of my life mission that doesn't happen for other people, and they become their own self-advocate in the process. So yeah, I just love it. I can't wait to read it. Can't wait to see it and play with you all, and that'll be a lot of fun. So anything else? Is there anything that you'd like to, pearls of wisdom, leave for the listening audience?
Yes, absolutely. Um, like I said, I love what I do in helping entrepreneurs and executives and entertainers become authors, even without having to write a word if they don't want to. And myself and my team, we take them from idea to published bestseller book, and we help to expand their gifts, their mission, their experiences, their stories, who they are and what they're here to share with the world. And a lot of people think they're not ready. They either think they have to have it all figured out, they have to be perfect, they have to have achieved a certain level of success, whatever that moving target is in their mind, because it's always a moving target. And they think that, they're gonna do it later when life stops lifing. I call it life lifing. And that doesn't happen. Uh, None of those things ever actually occur. And so I always tell people, you have more than one book in you. So whether it's to make your first book or your next book, just know that the thing you figured out, the wisdom that you have, the knowledge that comes easy to you, that thing that you took from potential to realize, to actualize, the thing that's fun, easy, your knowledge, your experiences, your wisdom, your stories, your past, all of these things are the light that people in the dark are waiting for. You are the guide to help them navigate through wherever they are to wherever they're needing to go next. And it is our gift, our duty, our birthright, our honor to be able to share that right now. And so like I said, I want to make sure that your wisdom gets where it needs to go, your stories and who you are, so that how you're making your money, the impact that you want to have in the world, the legacy that you want to live is actually being captured. And so let's come together. My upcoming podcast, Mill with Marjah, Money, Impact, and Legacy, is also, where all of our authors and authors to be get to share who they are. So you are ready. The fact that you figured something out means you're ready. The fact that people keep saying, oh my God, how did you do that? Can you show me? Can you do that for me? Or wow, you're so fascinating. You should write a story. You should write a book. Oh my gosh, tell them this story. Tell them what you just told me. You know, those are the clues.
Yeah,
Those are your potential awakening clues of who you are and how you're here to serve in your gifts and talents in the world.
love
So
that.
just reach out, have a chat with my team and I. I'd love to, and if you're not sure what that is, I'd be happy. Just tell us you came from Karen's podcast, and I'd be happy to do. I have a 5-minute open heart process that I do with my clients to get them absolute clarity on the one message that they're here to share with the world right now.
Love that.
I'd love to do that with you. No obligation, to get you that clarity, to get you that certainty so that you can see your gifts, talents, and abilities and what the world is waiting for that's within you right now. Like my coach Tony Robbins says, all you need is within you now. You are ready and the time is now.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Marja. And of course, Marja's contact information and the link to that complimentary session, clarity session with her, will be in the show notes for sure. And thank you, Marja, so much. Your contribution today has been such a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Karen, for having me. It's been a joy for me as well. I love speaking with you. You and I can talk endless about everything. And I love awakening potential. So you and I are here on Earth to do a similar mission of
So,
allowing people to awaken their potential, to open up that courage and step through fear into action.
right, with infinite possibilities, I like to tag.
Yes, yes. All of it is us. All of it is here. All of it is now.
Oh, absolutely.
And yeah, and we get to choose what's your next life next. What do you want to do? Who do you want to be next? And you know how parents often ask their children, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Or teachers or whatever. I have never asked my children that.
Yeah,
I always ask them, "What do you want to do next?
love
Who do
it.
you want to be next?"
Love it. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you again. Oh, this has just been a joy. You're right, we can't talk forever, which means you'll just have to come back.
I'd be happy to. I'll wait for my invite.
Okay. Not too far off. To our listening audience, thank you for joining us on this Awakening Potential podcast. As you step back into your reality, your world, remember the bridge from ordinary to extraordinary is built with small steps of change and big leaps of faith. Let today's insight from Marja be a guiding light as you navigate your own journey. Until next time, continue to awaken your potential and illuminate the extraordinary within. Stay inspired.